Hi, this is Richard for Guitarist magazine, and I'm here today to show you these two PJD guitars. They're Indonesian made, they're the Origin Apprentice series, and they're £499. So I guess the question that many of us would be asking is, how are they making them to that price? And are they cutting loads of corners? Are they cutting too many corners? Are they any good? So let's find out. So we just heard a few sounds from both guitars. Now let's get a bit more deeply into the spec. I'll start by telling you that this offset body shape, I'm using this as the primary guitar really for the demo just because I thought it looked cool. This is the St John shape, and the single cut shape there is the Carey shape. Now we have a pretty basic spec. Essentially they're both the same guitar but with a different shaped body. Yeah, they sound slightly different. Just did the same way. I think that if you took the next one off the production line, that would sound slightly different. Speaking of that, these are actually pre-production models, so the spec is very slightly different in a way that I'll get into now. Both these guitars have medium C maple necks. They have this cool, familiar classic looking headstock, but it's their own twist on it. Non-branded, but pretty good vintage type tuners. They're the Clusen type really, aren't they, I suppose you could say. We've got a bone nut on each guitar. We've got a 10-inch radius fretboard with medium jumbo frets, and I have to say they are beautifully finished and dressed. I mean, I know from meeting the PJD guys that they take a lot of pride in that, and these guitars are sent to the UK after manufacture for checks and setups. So the fretboards on these are a wood called Merbau. But these are the pre-production guitars. Yeah, they look a little bit light to my eye, but the production guitars are going to have Indian rosewood, so that's nice. The necks are bolted on to these Indonesian mahogany bodies. It looks like one piece. They're very nicely contoured, actually in all the right places, at the back here and where the arm goes off. And you'll see that the neck joint itself is chamfered there, so that you haven't got such a bulky neck joint to deal with when you're playing up at the top end of the fretboard. Well, we're almost there with these specs. Through body stringing, which is nice. Steel plate bridge, simply screwed on the top. This is not a branded item. These block saddles are nice, though it doesn't say what material they're made of. So, I mean, you can see where some of the economies are happening here. They're not branded parts, but they look like pretty good quality parts. The pickup is PJD's own design. It's an Alnico 5. Not potted. It's 9 and a bit K, so it's a hot vintage, I suppose, and the pickups are the same in both guitars. We have a single volume, single tone, no pickup selector, obviously. The pots are full size, though they're not CTS, but they seem to work pretty well. They're 500K. So let's have another listen to some sounds in a bit more detail, and I'll try and get across to you what playing one of these is actually like. I've got the tone maxed out at the moment, and let's just bring up the volume there. I've got the Studio's Vox AC15, the hand-wired one, set for a warm, clean, little bit of edge. So what we've got here, Single pickup guitar. I guess you could say the precedent was set by the Les Paul Juniors back in the late 50s, mid 50s even. Let's get this right. That volume control cuts in quite quickly, so by the time I get down to 6 or 7, I've really lost a lot of output. On a cleaner tone like this, that can seem like a disadvantage, but if you've got the thing gained up a bit, then it can give you a more usable sweep in the middle of the volume control. So I'm not saying that's a negative. I think that's a good choice of output for the pickup, and I like the placement. It's very much a bridge pickup, but as you can see, there is some distance here between the slug, the pole pieces, and the saddles here, which gives the guitar a little bit more warmth, and it can change the way that you hear the top end. So, I mean, let's... Some of the older Les Paul Juniors really have the pickup down there right by the saddles, and you get much more of a nasal sound from it. Personally, I prefer this, and I do think it lends itself to maybe coaxing other sounds from a guitar like this. A very popular kind of opinion about the single pickup guitar is the simplicity is great, and it's down to you to get the sounds. You can't work miracles, but let's have a little play. Let's take that tone control back. That definitely takes a little bit of the inherent brightness away, so that you've got a little bit more full fat Les Paul type tone for the rockers. And let's roll it all the way off and see. I mean, I wouldn't be reaching for this one to go do a jazz gig or something, but I mean, playing along the length of the string and using the volume and tone controls, especially with a bit of gain, I think that it's probably quite surprising how much versatility you can get out of a guitar like this. No, it doesn't have the neck pickup. It's not a Strat, but there we have it. So the impression that I'm getting so far is that these guitars may be built down to a price. I mean, it's not in dispute that they are built down to a price, but the feel of the controls, it feels really solid. It doesn't feel flimsy. They feel like a quality pot. The neck joint into the body, it's flawless, really. There's absolutely no gap there. You could travel with one of these and not have to check it every single time you got it out of the case, as I've had to do with some more expensive guitars. The fretting and the finishing of the frets is absolutely flawless. The edges of the fretboard are really nicely done. So there genuinely is really good quality finishing going on with these things. It's not a gloss finish. It's this fairly basic open pore finish. Well, that'll probably age quite well, and it'll take a few knocks with dignity. And we've got details like the metal jack input. So again, I don't think it's a switchcraft jack or anything like that, but it's strong enough to withhold normal use and abuse, if you like. So I think that the thinking that's gone into these is really solid logic. So taking a step back, what are we missing here? I'd say the most obvious thing is what I've just been talking about, which is extra pickups and neck pickup. Again, how much that matters to you, that's a personal thing. Certainly what they've done here is they've used their experience in making very high-end guitars to work out what people want and need, the essentials from a guitar, and they've delivered on it, really. I mean, this particular design hangs great on a strap. Little bit neck divey on my lap, but it's not what I would call unbalanced. I'm looking for negatives, basically, by saying that. I think what they've done is they've put it together with their parts are not branded, but they seem very solid, like I say, about the way the pots feel. And of course, these spun knobs, normally I'm not really a fan of those, but they do suit the guitar. I don't know what else I'd have on there. Sticking with aesthetics for a minute, we've got very similar guitars, but the styles, the visuals are very different. If I had to say, I'd say this one appeals more to your rockers. This one is a bit less so. Just the offset shape tends to be associated with a slightly different kind of music, maybe a bit more indie or something like that, if that's not a horribly outdated term now. But they both deliver, and if you know what you're doing with the volume and the tone controls and your amp setup, you can get a surprising amount of versatility out of them. There's no neck pickup, there's no getting away from that. But single pickup guitars are a really cool thing. Nobody ever says Les Paul Juniors are rubbish because they haven't got a neck pickup, and I don't think they should say that about these. These are actually really cool, nicely styled, well-made guitars at a really great price. What more can you say? So if you found this review interesting or helpful, then please click like and subscribe, and see you again.